Hello, welcome to the sideboard here at the Star City Games Modern Open in Dallas, part of the SCG Tour, brought to you by Ultimate Guard and Carnox Chairs. I'm Nick Miller alongside Evan Whitehouse, team member of Lotus Box, fresh new jerseys this weekend. And we got an interesting deck here because Modern's in a whole new space. Stoneforge Mystic, unbanned, Hogak gone, Faithless Looting gone, and you've been someone who's played a lot of Faithless Looting decks. So I come to see you're playing the Bant Soulherder deck, notably not Stoneforge Mystic, and notably not what your team's playing, which I won't give that away, but they all basically came to a conclusion, and you said, no, I got this sweet Bant deck, I'm going to play this. What's driving you to play this deck?
So I thought with the banning of Faithless Looting and the unbanning of Stoneforge Mystic, the format would be pushed in a lot more of a fair direction. And the unfair decks are going to be not as punishing and more vulnerable to traditional forms of interaction like removal, life gain, destroying artifacts. Like those are all, when you don't need to worry about interacting with the graveyard as much, fair mid-range decks have a lot more room to flourish and use their sideboard cards. So this deck is trying to pretty much outgrind any other deck in the format through a variety of creatures with enter the battlefield abilities and ways to recur those abilities.
Right, we got all the good ones here. Reflector Mage, Eternal Witness, Knight of Autumn. Those are your 3-mana cards that you use to Ephemerate or Soulherder.
Right.
And then of course your 2-drops all basically say draw a card or something of that effect.
Yeah, we have 11 2-mana cantrips. In aggressive matchups, it's fine to chump block with them. You can just buy them back with E-Wit if they matter. They're kind of just there mostly to give the deck velocity.
Right, I think highlighting it here, Icefang Quaddle, this is a card almost unplayable in the Hogak meta. Now all kinds of decks are playing this card.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen it in like Bant Stoneforge decks even as a flash threat. Death Touch is really handy, Flash is great. Really all around solid card.
Other pieces we have floating around here, obviously Soulherder is the huge payoff with all these cards, but Venser showing up as well. What's going on here?
So Venser is, the Tron matchup is not good. If there's a lot of Tron in your area, you might want to stay away from this deck. But you do have outs to win, and one of your main ones is to assemble Venser plus Soulherder. That's essentially Splinter Twin against Tron. You're bouncing a land every turn, they're never going to get Tron, and you'll win if they haven't got it yet. So it's there to like give you a little playability in game ones. I started out with 2 Reflector Mages and 1 Venser, and then after playing Tron a few times, I was like, all right, I need a couple more ways to steal wins. You can also try and like grind through, but it's tougher. So
right.
Gotta have that little one-shot combo.
Other cards we have here, Path to Exile, you just got to have some removal outside of the Quaddle. Then Jace, the Mind Sculptor, this is kind of your alt-win condition when the beatdown plan doesn't work, I imagine.
Right. Yeah, with Force of Negation, it's kind of low cost to include like high-impact situational blue cards because a lot of times if they're bad, you'll just pitch them to Force. And when Jace is good, it's insane. Like, it'll just win the game on its own. So in a deck with some acceleration between Quaddle and Noble Hierarch that wants to grind, it seemed like a no-brainer to run a couple pieces.
This weekend, all the big news is about Stoneforge Mystic. You're a white deck not playing Stoneforge Mystic. Talk about that decision and how you kind of plan to beat the decks with Stoneforge Mystic.
Okay, so the reason this deck isn't playing Stoneforge Mystic is because it's not very synergistic with the game plan. This deck has a lot of like pieces that help make the other pieces better, and Stoneforge Mystic doesn't do that. So while it's a powerful card on its own right, like if you draw Stoneforge Mystic and Ephemerate, what are you doing with an Ephemerate in your hand? So you're building an engine that goes over the top of Stoneforge Mystic. The Stoneforge Mystic decks are actually some of this deck's best matchups because nothing they do goes as big as Ephemerating Eternal Witness and then bringing back Ephemerate. You get an extra enter the battlefield ability every turn, and you're going way over the top of anything a Batter Skull's doing.
All right. Force of Negation, the other card here, just shoring up the matchups where your creatures are a little slow.
Right. Against decks like Burn, Tron, Storm, any combo deck, you need a way to interact. With blue-white on the rise too, it's even good in some fair matchups, so it seems like a really well-positioned card right now. It's on the rise in general, and I think that it also lets you steal games against Tron, where you're just like force of negation, your Sylvan's crying, and it gives you time to set up.
Okay. Sideboard here. We're going to look at the new cards. 3 copies, Collector Oof. What is this coming in? Urza, I assume?
Yeah, also Tron, shutting off Walking Ballista, Oblivion Stone, Expedition Map, and all 8 of their cantrips makes it really powerful in that matchup.
Okay. A lot of cards in your main deck and sideboard I see are splash hate against Tron. Are you kind of weak to the big mana decks of all variety? What about Valakut, stuff like that?
Yeah, so this deck kind of has game against everything because it has a lot of cards that fill specific roles, but you need to draw them, so I would say those matchups are still on the tough side. Like, you have a plan, but definitely I wanted to get as much incidental hate against those strategies as possible.
Right, Damping Sphere as well, hanging out there.
Right. I also expect Storm to be played again after the banning of Faithless Looting. It's like one of the last combo decks remaining, so having some extra hate there was nice.
Okay. We got more removal with more Path to Exile and a Winds of Abandon. Take us through these last couple of creatures here. Double Scavenging Ooze, 2 Thragtusk, and then a Deputy of Detention, and another Knight of Autumn.
Okay, so in general, the reason the sideboard has so many creatures is that in the humans and Jund matchups, you want to sideboard out all your Force of Negations. So you need a lot of just like filler creatures that are bodies that can come in and replace those cards. Thragtusk is insane in any grindy matchup, and if you start ephemerating or Soulherdering that, the game's going to end really fast. As well as being splash hate against burn. And then Scavenging Ooze at least gives you some outs against the people that might still be trying to play Dredge. You can also get there with Force of Negation and Path Recursion, but you know, it's not an easy matchup, so having extra splash hit there is nice. More incidental life gain helps against burn, and it can also come in against control decks just as a way to combat Snapcaster Mage and be a body that can pressure Planeswalkers.
Okay. What do you think about Modern as a whole right now? We haven't had a ton of time to really get a feeling for everything. There was the huge Magic Online decklist dump, but that's about all the data there is.
Yeah, there's not really much data to go off for sure. I'm having a great time playing Modern right now. It's been a blast. I mean, I'm playing a pretty fun deck, so that helps. But I think there's a lot more avenues to play fair right now. And playing fair Magic, in my opinion, is usually funner and healthier for the game overall. So I'm really excited about going games.
All right, well, we get to see a lot more decks, a lot more new cards. Yours is one that I really want to see in action. You're coming off 2 buys. We wish you the best of luck. Thanks for joining me here in the sideboard.
Thanks.
Stay tuned to Star City Games all weekend long for the action here in Dallas.
And if you like the deck and want to see more content, Team Lotus Box has a Patreon which you can subscribe to. I've made a full sideboard guide for the deck, and we got a lot of other lists, and we'll interact with you and share what we're working on.
All right, check it out.